Okay, a little bit ago, I did a review on the Smith's Pack Pal Tender Maker, which is a little box-like thing with basically a real fine cheese grater, real flat, small hole, tougher cheese grater on it. And you just run a flammable stick, something that's easy to ignite, across, and it collects the tender inside. And you can actually carry it around and use it when you need it. So you have a little supply there with you. And it comes in with a fire steel, which isn't what I'm talking about today, or even this as a matter of fact. But when I did the video, I had a lot of people saying that, oh, nice to see that somebody, you know, real kind of bunch of shitty remarks about these Bondo graters, the cheese graters for Bondo for body work. Well, you can see straight up that there is a massive difference in the cheese grater deal. Now, not that I'm an expert or anything, which I'm obviously not, but I do realize that when you're making tender, especially for any sort of spark-based ignition system, that you do want the fibers as fine as you can get it. And your initial source of getting them, the finer that they produce, the better off you are. So, my thought is this thing, especially if you're using a spark-based system, throws out stuff the size of pencils. This stuff throws out stuff the size of needles, is kind of how I look at it. Which makes a big difference, because if you're blowing sparks into pencils, good luck. You can sit there with a side grinder on a piece of steel all day long and blow them into pencils and not catch fire. Now, instead of just sitting here blah blah blah, we're going to do a little test of what they produce. This is cottonwood, which is easily flammable, dead, bark on. Same sort of system, just sit there and you can see, right, what's coming off is pretty fine. What's in there is really fine. Now, I'm not hating that. That's pretty decent right there. And then, if you want to get down to it, it's tough enough to cut into the stick. Okay, so you got pretty good tender source right there. If you throw a handkerchief on the ground, or actually do it like you're supposed to, which I wasn't doing because it's easier for me to push instead of hold it. That way everything's kind of going into your container, but it's harder to hang on to. There you go. There you go. Now that's a fine tender. Okay. Another part of the stick. This is a Bondo, what we used to call a cheese grater. It's a Bondo file, and it's a lot more coarse, as you can tell. You can just tell looking at the damage it's doing. If you pull your tender off of there, that's good tender right there. This stuff is a little coarse as far as I'm concerned. These will work, but they're not what I would consider ideal. If this had, I need to look to see if they've got smaller versions. Look at the curl size difference off of once you get down to a stick. You try this with a stick. There's your tender size right there. Basically what that produces. There's massive amount in the size of the tinder right there. Cottonwood will flake off no matter what you use. They'll both work, but if I was in a no crap, I would rather have the finer version. Just saying is my thought on it. Now granted, I realize people were complaining about the price difference and blah blah blah. Stainless, rusts. So you know, if it's in a no crap bag and you don't check it very often, you might end up with a rusty grater. You know, whatever works for you. You can see that's already catching. Okay, that's going. That's fine enough as keeping the nimber going. That's got a little bitty bit of one off of what I pulled off the bottom, the stringy stuff. And that's what's ignited in there. And I think it went out. Nope, it's still going. So we'll let them go to see. You know, that's just my opinion, is I'd rather have the finer. But then again, boils down to it, what do I know? But it's just a thought. Sometimes when you try to save $1, it bites you in the butt when you really have to have it. And that's not the time you need to be bit in the butt. So as far as I'm concerned, if they make an uber fine one, I'll get pictures of the size difference. I mean, even the gratings on this is flatter, so it's going to take a smaller bite into it. You know, everybody seems to think, oh, the bigger the better. Well, yeah, in some cases that's okay, but when you're making tender, that is an absolute no. So you can see the multiple hits that Sparks took on that. Let's give this another go. See if it likes it. Okay, we got multiple sparks in there. That's finally going a little bit, and that's off the really fine stuff that was pulled off the bottom of that scraper. So it's finally starting to go a little, well, no, it's starting to go out. There isn't a huge amount of coarseness in there, but the coarseness matters because it doesn't spread as easy. It's kind of like filtration. The better your initial filtration is, the longer your post filtration lasts. You know, I don't know. Two schools of thought. There it is. Make up your own mind. You can do, granted, you can do either one of these with a knife. From what I experienced and what you saw, to make that little pile with a knife, it'd take you a little bit longer. This does it without any effort or even thinking about it. You can pick up a stick walking down the trail, make you a box full of tinder, and even dump it into your tinder bag as you're going, walk along, getting set up for the night. This, you could probably do the same thing. It's just a little more difficult and you'll have a coarser time of it. Now, everybody's favorite fire starter with a Bic lighter, that's fabulous. That is outstanding. You add a couple bigger twigs to that and you're great. But if you're relying on spark base, I think you could get that going with a flint and steel and driving the sparks down into it. There's enough fine fiber in there, I think it would actually do it. That'll be substance for another video.